Alex Vanover joins us. Where are you, Alex?
I'm back home right now in Texas. I've been traveling all over the place in the last 6 months. But I'm back home right now and just enjoying the time to recharge back here in Dallas, Texas.
You've been everywhere. Just tell me what's been going on, Alex. What's been happening in your life? Did you get married or was it engaged?
No, I did get married. As you can see, it did
Yeah.
happen. Just almost a year ago, we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary, which is really exciting. But no, in the last year, it's just been a real blessing. I mean, as the world begins to kind of open back up a little bit, we've had the Drone Racing League coming back to real life racing and this hybrid season of, simulator and real racing. And then I've also been taking up FPV filming a lot more with some of the big drones and big cameras and everything like that. So I've just been traveling all over the place, kind of balancing the two.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit crazy, but it's been a lot of fun.
Drone Racing League has absolutely hit its beat, hasn't it? I mean, I remember back in the day, like 4 or 5 years ago, when the drone competitions were starting to come along. 2015, that big event in Dubai, and it was before the big sponsorship came in, and they really have risen to the top. DRL.
It really has. I mean, Drone Racing League, like you said, if you look at where it came from 4 years ago to now, I mean, we just had our first race in Las Vegas where we were actually racing in front of a live crowd. I mean, we had T-Mobile presenting the race. We have Algorand as a big sponsor now. I mean, we have all these big companies coming in. Weezer, the band, was performing a concert. I mean, it just goes to show where the sport has come in a few years and just where it's going to go in the next few years as well.
Yeah. How did it work with you? Are you fully contracted with DRL? Can you do your own things, or does it have to run through them? How does it work?
It's a good question. So with the Drone Racing League, we sign 1 year contracts at the moment. So we're not employees or anything. So that means that right now, as our season has technically ended, that as a pilot, I'm out of a contract. And basically, I just kind of wait to see what DRL does. But I have a great relationship with the Drone Racing League. Obviously, been racing with them for 3 years. I'm their 2019 champion. So DRL is like a family to me. And of course, I want to continue my career in the drone racing industry with them as well, whether it's long-term as a pilot or whether it's just some part of the company as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Got a good voice, Alex. Could be a bit of commentary coming your way when you get older.
I hope so. I don't want to take your job, but I want to learn from you and from all the other people on commentating, because it's something that I very much enjoy. And if I'm not out there racing, I'm usually in the background commentating the race that's happening.
Did I see something? I think I saw something on Instagram. Did you have to miss a race recently? Well, did you have COVID or something?
Yeah, unfortunately, I did miss that Vegas championship race. It was a bit of a bummer. Of course, we have to follow COVID protocols because we're trying to do all this IRL real life racing, but it is very challenging. And I'm thankful that the entire season up till that point that I had not tested positive and missed out on any races. But unfortunately, it was the championship race, the one that everyone wants to compete at. And the day of, because of COVID protocols, because I was exposed to COVID, I couldn't race. So I'm perfectly healthy, perfectly fine. It was a bit of a bummer, but it is what it is, right? That's just God's plan. And you know what, it just gets me more motivated to come back. And we have so many other races happening, not just in the Drone Racing League, but outside DRL coming up in 2022 as well. So I'm just very excited for all those and just ready for the next one.
Yeah, that's one of the things about being a pro athlete, isn't it? I know from my sport, skydiving, sometimes you get bad weather or you get an injury, and you can't let that take over your mind. With that COVID situation you had, you've got to know it's part of the game and how you deal with that and how you move forward. And that's a trick with being an athlete, isn't it?
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at all the athletes in the last 2 years that have been playing in professional sports and had to miss an event. I mean, basketball players, football players, F1 drivers like Lewis Hamilton had to miss a race or two because of COVID protocols. Like it's everyone is being affected by it. So I remember telling myself that whenever I felt like I was the only person in the entire world being affected by COVID in that moment, I just told myself I'm not the only person. It happens to pretty much everyone, especially right now in winter of 2022. But it's just something you have to deal with. Every athlete, every person's going to come through adversity. The question is whether you're going to go around it or just push through it. So exactly. I just choose to push through it.
Yeah. With the DRL, how many races is there per year? Is it a monthly thing, or how does it work?
Yeah, so it changes a little bit every year. This year was their first hybrid season. So what that means is that we had a mixture of real life racing and simulator races. So we had 9 real life races, and then we had 5 simulator races. It's kind of like a balance between the two to make up for not being able to fully return back yet to real life racing, because there's obviously, like we talked about, a lot of risk with COVID and everything like that. So points wise, the points were the same. So there were 14 levels. If you win a level, you get 10 points, and then it staggers down from there to like 7, 5, 3, 2, 1. And the person with the most points at the end of the season wins. So it was a very interesting challenge. The simulator has never been my strong suit, but definitely the real life racing was. And I went out there and won 3 levels this year. And I also broke the record for most real life levels won in DRL history. So I got 6 wins under my belt. I think I got the most podiums. So I didn't end up winning the season, but I'm very happy with my performance in the way I flew.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk me through a little bit the differences between virtual and real life? Of course, one's virtual and one's in real life. And does the air, do you feel the wind on the real life as opposed to virtual? Tell me a little bit about the differences, the subtle differences.
That's a great question. So the big differences between the simulator and real life, obviously in the simulator, you don't have the effects of like wind and just turbulent air. Also, depending on the locations that we're flying at and the elevation changes that we have to deal with as well, that's something that you have to factor in when you're flying a real life drone. Sometimes the power of your drone isn't the same in every single race. Where the simulator, it's almost like you're flying a perfect drone. So it really is cool because the pilots have the ability to really push it hard on the simulator because it is just very dialed in and locked in. I'm always a good pilot when it comes to dealing with that adversity and having to kind of deal with change on the fly, because every time you fly a drone, it's going to be a little bit different, even if it's built the exact same. Whereas the simulator, it's going to be the same every single time. And so that's kind of the big differences, but they're almost one-to-one with each other. And I always tell people too, who are interested in getting into drone racing or getting into flying drones, start on the simulator, because you can basically learn to fly a drone on the simulator and then pick up a real controller and fly it in real life. It's a great tool. And of course, the Drone Racing League simulator is the one that I like, because you can actually do real drone races on the simulator, just like we did this year in the season.
And you're not going to crash and ruin your drone.
Yeah, but you save a lot of money on the simulator. Every time you hit reset, just imagine yourself saving $200-300 every time you do that.
At your level of the sport, are you still there behind the scenes with a soldering iron? Are you still doing it all yourself, or do you have a team doing that for you?
When it comes to the actual Drone Racing League races, none of the pilots touch any of the drones that we fly. So, which is a real nice thing we talked about before. But yeah, I still do a lot of my own soldering. I've had a few people build some stuff for me as I've become very busy this year. So I'm very thankful to those people who have helped me out. But I still enjoyed building myself. It's very therapeutic for me. And I feel like as a top drone pilot, you have to still continue to master your craft and understand what you're doing. So I try and make sure I dedicate time to that and learning to build the newest stuff that's coming out there, or soldering the newest electronics. It's all fun for me. I've been doing it, Reagan, for 12 years now. So it's a lot of fun. It doesn't get old for me.
12 years since you picked up your first controller, was it?
12 years since it is almost January 25th. So that'll be 12 years since I flew my first remote control airplane. Yeah. And goodness gracious, it's crazy. It feels like 12 years ago was a long time. Really, in reality, it really wasn't. But I probably have 20,000 hours doing remote control things in general, maybe more than that. It's just crazy to see how far it's come. I never imagined when I was 10 years old that I would be racing drones and flying drones as a professional job one day, but here we are.
Are you flying anything else remote control these days, or is it all gone by the way?
Basically, everything right now is just FPV quadcopters. But I do have some remote control airplanes that I still fly. That's very fun for me to go out and do. And who knows, maybe I'll venture to some other RC things in the future. It's all about time though, Ray. It's all about time. So I have to use my time very wisely. But right now, the thing I enjoy the most is just flying quadcopters. If it's not racing or filming, I love going out and just flying around at parks and other spots like that with other people as well, and trying to make good content out there to showcase what I'm up to for my sponsors and for my fans and everyone watching.
A lot of the stuff we're seeing now, some of the drone content, the FPV with base jumping, I mean, some of that content that's coming through, FPV Cola being one that springs up a lot. It's quite impressive stuff. And, there's an element of danger there. You don't want to get the drone anywhere near the canopy as it's deploying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've seen some of the base jumping stuff with these FPV drones, and I gotta say to the pilots who are following that, I mean, there's a lot of pressure, like you said, because you don't want to hit the guy when they're base jumping like that. But the shots that they're getting are absolutely incredible, and I feel like that's just showcasing the potential of what we can actually do with these FPV drones, because we've always talked about the racing. We've always talked about like that's kind of the sport that we watch, but there's this whole nother emerging sport in just filming and like freestyling as well. It's very, very competitive in the film industry that I'm in as well. Who can get that golden shot? Who's going to go out there and do the next biggest thing? And the base jumping stuff is really cool. I live in Texas. It's very flat here, so there's really no base jumping, but I do know some pilots over in Europe who've been filming some of those base jumpers and skydivers even recently. I mean, goodness gracious, it's so awesome to see all this drone content coming out. But yeah, a lot of high risk, lots of high risk.
In Texas, that's Jeff Bezos' Blue Origins in Texas.
That's true.
And when they launched the New Shepard, there's a drone shot, and I always think, I wonder who's flying that drone.
Oh yeah, that's an Inspire 2 shot. Yeah, I've seen a lot of those. That they're on the Texas is a very big state, Reagan. That is like 12 hours away. No, I would love to. Like, I know SpaceX is also here. Yeah. I think it'd be really cool to try and fly an FPV drone right alongside one of those rockets. But I don't know if they'll let me do that.
Yeah, maybe we should get in touch and see what's going on.
There we go.
So what's happening now? You're at home. You're relaxing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I just came back from a job this last week. I was flying in Los Angeles and I flew across the country to Miami and I did a job there. That's basically been the story of my life the last year. So it was nice to have a break over the winter and just spend time with family during the holidays and then the new year. But now we're kind of getting 2022, hitting the ground running, getting a bunch of jobs early on. But I have a few days to recharge. My wife and I are actually going to go take a quick trip up to Oregon. Nice. And we're going to go do a little bit of skiing and just, have some more time to ourselves, because I know February, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening. There's a big drone race in Costa Rica that's going to be happening. Big drone race.
What is that?
That's going to be February 4th through the 6th.
I'm in Costa Rica, February the 10th to the 21st for a skydiving event, so I'll miss it.
Well, there's going to be a lot of pilots staying in Costa Rica. So there's this race I'll talk about real quick. It's called the Freedom Spec Race.
Yeah.
It's based off of a U.S. drone racing organization that tries to take these really fast, small drones, but fly them on half the voltage that you normally would, which means they go really slow. But it's really good racing. They don't really break when you hit stuff, so it's really fun. And they're doing this big race in Costa Rica. Min Chan Kim from South Korea is coming for the race. Min Chan Kim. Yeah. We have some fast European pilots coming. I honestly think it's going to be probably the most competitive drone race in history, just based on the pilots who are coming. 80 pilots, all racing the same exact drone. It's all spec racing, so there's no advantages or disadvantages. And I think a lot of the pilots who are coming in from all across the world are going to stay an extra like 7 days in Costa Rica just to train with each other, because they'll never get that opportunity probably ever again in their lives.
And those bigger drones that were they were kind of around a few years ago, I think from Australia, they were being pushed. Mm-hmm. Is there anything with them? Did they ever get off the ground, if you're pardon the pun?
Get off the ground. No, they've gotten off the ground. There's been a lot of big drones that can carry humans. I mean, they really want to, a lot of companies are trying to push this real life pod racing like you see in Star Wars. I don't know how soon I'll be getting one of those, but they have gotten off the ground. I think it just costs a lot of money and they have to draw a certain amount of attention to justify all that money. So we'll see what happens. I definitely think it's something that we're going to see in the next few years, probably promoted a little bit more. I think what'll happen first is drones that can just, again, carry people like an Uber in the air. And I know a lot of private companies who are trying to do that right now.
All right. Well, good luck, my friend. Good luck with all your negotiations for the next season. When will we know about your racing? When will you know who you're with and what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, the Drone Racing League will probably kickstart back off in the summer of this year, since we're kind of on a little bit of a break right now. So probably around, May or June, you'll know. But besides that, I have a lot of exciting stuff that I can't share right now, but a lot of great stuff happening this year with like brands and sponsors and everything like that. But besides that, we still have this like Costa Rica race coming up. So of course, anyone watching, follow me on my social medias, Captain Vanover on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook as well, because I'm going to be posting all my updates and stuff from there. But that Costa Rica race is kind of the first thing on my radar right now. I think that's going to be a big race. And then I have a lot of exciting film projects coming up this year. So just be sure to keep following. And Reagan, we'll stay in touch. It's great talking to you again.
We will, Captain. You take care. Enjoy your time with your wife. Enjoy this skiing. It's good to see your face. And I'll see you in a few weeks or a few months further down the line. Thanks very much for your time.
No problem, man. Thank you.